Mobb Deep is one of the most iconic duos in hip-hop history, but after their first album flopped and they got dropped by their label, it almost all came to an end. This is the story of how Havoc stepped up and saved Mobb Deep. Havoc and Prodigy both grew up in Queensbridge, but first met each other in the early 90s while attending high school. They bonded over a love of hip-hop, started recording together, and formed a duo called Poetical Prophets. That partnership soon evolved into what the world would come to know as Mobb Deep. In 1993, Mobb Deep released their debut album Juvenile Hell. On paper, it should have been a success. They had production from heavyweights like Large Professor and DJ Premier, but the album didn't connect, it flopped commercially, and the group was dropped from their label. Still, buried inside the album was a sign of things to come. The track Hold Down the Fort was one of the first beats Havoc ever produced, and even then you could hear the raw Queensbridge darkness. The failure of their first album sparked something in Havoc. He felt other producers weren't giving them the right beats, and with their limited budget, hiring top names wasn't realistic. So Havoc took matters into his own hands. In 1995, Mobb Deep dropped the infamous. For the first time, Havoc took the lead as the main producer, building most of the beats from his Queensbridge apartment with Prodigy's assistance, with only a few outside touches from Q-Tip. Upon release, the album earned critical acclaim and is still considered one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. And the sound Havoc created was nothing short of revolutionary. That do-it-yourself approach gave the album its edge, sparse drums, haunting samples, and dark piano loops that felt ripped straight out of a horror movie. And most importantly, it made you feel Queensbridge. And then there was Shook One's Part 2, one of the greatest beats in hip-hop history. Havoc took a jazz sample, slowed it down, pitched it lower, and transformed it into pure menace. Check it out now. At a time when many producers were looping jazz records without changing them much, Havoc was flipping samples so completely they became unrecognizable. He used the same technique on other songs across the album, giving the infamous its dark, cinematic, and raw sound. Many of his sample sources weren't even discovered until 10 or 20 years later.
The sample, you won't hear the familiarity unless you slow it all the way down. Havoc is ill.
From there, Mobb Deep went on to release classics like Hell on Earth and Murda Music. With these records, Havoc proved his sound wasn't a fluke. It was a signature style he could refine and elevate album after album. Havoc also branched out, dropping solo projects and producing for legends like Nas, Biggie, 50 Cent, Eminem, and Kanye West. But Havoc's influence went far beyond just producing records. His style became a blueprint for a whole generation of producers.
And I swear, I learned so much from Havoc. I used to sit there and just absorb.
And all of this happened because Havoc took matters into his own hands. If he had given up after Juvenile Hell, Mobb Deep would have been just another forgotten name, and hip-hop would have never gotten that raw, haunting sound that defined an era. His decision to keep pushing didn't just save Mobb Deep, it left a mark on the culture forever.